one single ship could neutralize every missile, drone, and submarine threat before it even reached striking distance? The U.S. Navy's newest warship just arrived in Norfolk, and according to Elon Musk, it's so advanced that it's essentially unstoppable. But how exactly does a vessel achieve invincibility on the open seas? Stick with this video as we break down the weapons, energy systems, and AI brain that could make this ship the most dominant force afloat. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So did you click the subscribe button? Great, thank you so much. Now back to the video. Why would Elon Musk suggest that one warship could shift the entire global balance of power? The answer doesn't start with what's new on this carrier, but with what has always held older carriers back. For all their size and prestige, the world's massive supercarriers have been sitting targets in an era where precision weapons travel faster than human decisions. They were designed in an age when heavy armor and fleets of fighter aircraft were enough to keep enemies at bay. But modern warfare tore those assumptions apart, exposing costly vessels to weapons they couldn't always stop. Long-range cruise missiles, ballistic anti-ship weapons, drone swarms, and stealthier submarines have all created a reality where a $10 billion carrier can be tracked and potentially destroyed by a fraction of that cost. Decades of exercises and real operations underline the shortcomings. In the Persian Gulf, missile salvos demonstrated just how quickly a modern naval task force could be overwhelmed without near-instant reaction. In the South China Sea, Chinese carrier-killer missiles advertised ranges long enough to put entire strike groups in jeopardy before they even reached contested waters. Off other coastlines, low-cost drones breached defenses designed for manned aircraft and caused damage that once would have required state-level militaries. Taken together, it became clear that prestige and size meant very little if these strategic capitals at sea couldn't answer fast enough to modern threats. For the Navy, the weaknesses repeated again and again. Traditional carriers stored only so many missiles and bombs, and once expended, resupply was both complicated and perilous. Fuel supply chains stretched across oceans, creating slow-moving targets that an adversary could exploit at will. And above all, human-driven command decisions lagged behind the split-second speeds of hypersonic weapons. It wasn't just about carrying more firepower, it was about using it without delay, across days and weeks, with no risk of simply running empty. The Navy needed a ship that could rewrite those rules entirely. That's where directed energy weapons entered the field. Lasers operating at hundreds of kilowatts could fire as long as the ship's power system sustained them. Every second the beam connected with a drone or missile in the sky was another second in which no expensive missile had to leave its launcher. In effect, it cracked the first weakness, running out of ammunition. Power, not storage space, became the only limiting factor. But as promising as lasers were, even they couldn't handle everything on their own. Weather could scatter beams, and armor plating on advanced munitions could blunt their effect. The Navy's answer was to pair them with railguns, firing hypervelocity projectiles at speeds so blistering that incoming weapons could be intercepted long before they reached lethal range. Imagine the scene at sea. A swarm of kamikaze drones rockets across the horizon, some skimming the waves while others climb high to cross electronic defenses. In the past, the carrier group would have fired off expensive missiles one by one, depleting its arsenal within minutes. Now high-powered lasers sweep the sky, instantly carving through drone wings and detonating their explosive loads with pinpoint accuracy. The survivors press forward only to face hypervelocity projectiles from the railgun, slamming into targets at ranges that leave no time for correction. And when the smoke clears, the carrier's arsenal looks exactly as full as it did before the attack. Its weapons aren't being emptied. They're fed continuously by the ship's core systems, which leads to the next piece: energy. Conventional carriers need constant fuel to keep reactors, engines, and aircraft operations running. But the Navy's new approach appears built on sources far beyond standard nuclear reactors. Whether it is improved fission systems or compact fusion designs, the concept is the same: supplies that never run dry, power that never wanes, and thus a ship capable of remaining at sea for months or even years without the old logistical tail. In practice, this means directed energy weapons never need to pause, railguns never face shortage, and the fleet never has to expose its supply lines to surveillance or attack. One by one, the traditional weaknesses fall away. Ammunition limits become irrelevant when every weapon is powered by electricity alone. Fuel convoys disappear when the ship itself is its own energy source. Command bottlenecks shrink once machines no longer wait on delayed human responses. What once looked like a $10 billion target now resembles a constantly operating arsenal at sea, always ready, always powered, and no longer constrained by the weaknesses that put carriers in danger for half a century. But even with a bottomless well of power and weapons that never run dry, invincibility doesn't come only from firepower. The greater breakthrough lies in decision-making: how the ship interprets danger, how fast it launches defenses, and how it processes the chaos of modern battle in less than a second. That is where unstoppable begins to mean more than energy, and the implications for warfare grow even more unsettling. Unstoppable isn't just about a railgun or a laser. It's what happens when the weaknesses every Navy planned around — ammunition supplies, fuel convoys, slow human reaction — suddenly disappear. That raises a harder question. Is this ship the beginning of a safer global order, or the opening line of a new arms race? Deterrence only works until an adversary decides to test it. The first carrier of its kind now represents more than steel and power. A vessel that cannot be cornered or outlasted sends an unspoken message. The balance of power at sea has already shifted.